Two, pet-friendly hurricane shelters opening near the villages. Preparedness for the hurricane in the villages. Controversial pickleball pavilion near the villages wins approval. Villager accused of stealing shrubbery from a business at Southern Trace. Another Guatemalan arrested for a DUI. Tim Tebow sponsors special needs prom coming to the church in the villages. 300 files of child porn allegedly found on villagers' device. Jay Leno returning to the villages. A thrift store opening near the villages that will benefit combat vets. A village's transportation company stops direct service to the Orlando airport. Woman arrested in 2022 hit and run that killed a man near the village's hospital. 74-year-old arrested in another attack on woman who refused to engage with sex. Junk cars removed from dead villagers' home, but a $13,560 in fines are still lingering. This and more coming up. Let's have some more news. Two pet-friendly hurricane shelters will be available near the villages during Hurricane Idalia. I didn't know they had this. The pet-friendly shelter was scheduled to open at 3 p.m. Tuesday, August 29th at the Villages Elementary at Liddy Lake at 695 Rolling Acres Road. It will also serve those with special needs. The school has previously served as a shelter during Hurricanes Irma and Hurricanes Ian. A pet-friendly shelter was scheduled to open at 4 p.m. Tuesday, August 29th at Wildwood Community Center at 6500 Powell Road. It will also serve those with special needs. Sumter County will also offer a shelter at the Sumter County Fairgrounds in Webster. I've had a lot of questions about the villages. We have no shelters here in the villages. I believe that is a mistake, but as it gets bigger, maybe they'll see their mistake. Here's some of the things they advise for you to bring if you go to the shelter. Identification such as a driver's license, bedding, a cot, air mattress, blanket, pillow, food and water, prescriptions, extra baby food or formula, toiletries, toothbrush and paste, body soap, etc., games and sources of entertainment, all necessary supplies for your pet. If looking to stay at a local hotel, they are first come, first serve, and they often fill up very quickly for evacuees from the coast. Now, during the hurricane, they do a lot of things here to be prepared for all kinds of stuff that may or may not happen. One is electrical outages. You know, I've told you what I do in case of an electrical outage. I don't really plan on having an electrical outage here, but you have to be ready just in case. Our electric here is pretty good the way it's installed. Everything is underground. Around 1,000 trucks and 1,000 line workers were gathered at a staging site in Sumter County on Tuesday as Duke Energy prepares its response to Hurricane Idalia. On Tuesday afternoon, approximately 1,000 trucks and thousands of linemen were gathered by Duke Energy at a 65-acre staging site located along State Road 471. The crews are making final preparations in anticipation of Hurricane Idalia, which is scheduled to make landfall in Florida on Wednesday morning. In addition to the trucks, dozens of charter buses were gathered to transport the line workers to and from area hotels. So they do a pretty good job in preparing for it before it gets here. A controversial pickleball pavilion near the villages was approved Monday night by the Wildwood City Commission. Commissioners approved a comprehensive plan amendment for a Pinnacle Pickleball Pavilion on County Road 44A near State Road 44. The pickleball courts on 4 acres are part of an 18-acre project expected to include a 120-room hotel, 70 pickleball courts, 21,250 square foot of retail space, 10,000 square feet of restaurant space, and 5,000 square feet of office space. Because the complex is not in the villages, it probably will not be accessible by golf cart. Not unless the Wildwood commissions over there make some kind of a special easement. Everything here depends on those Wildwood commissioners. And the only thing they're interested in is this. At a meeting last month of the Wildwood Planning and Zoning Committee, Village of Lake Deaton residents said they were concerned about noise coming from the courts. They don't care. Special Magistrate Lindsay C.T. Holt recommended approval of a project contingent on the acceptance of a traffic analysis by Sumter County. It's laughable. Well, we should do a study about the traffic. That might mean there's more traffic. No resident spoke at Monday's commission meeting. The pavilion would help meet a growing interest in pickleball. An indoor pickleball facility is planned on County Road 466A from Laurel Manor Recreation Center. So there's two of them indoor. Man, I tell you what, the growth here just keeps marching along. But I will tell you, I purposely I did not want to be within earshot of a pickleball court here in the villages. I never dreamed that there'd be people on the outside of the villages building them because of the noise. It's just me. I know a lot of people doesn't mind a bit. And if you're deaf, you won't care anyway. You could live next to a railroad track. But it's that constant noise in the wintertime when snowbirds are here. It starts early in the morning and goes till early evening, and it never stops. And I had a house that was within earshot years ago. Wasn't very close, but I could hear it. And you have a tendency that you can shut your mind off to it, but I could hear it. And I just thought to myself, if I was here full time, I don't think I could listen to that. And so I purposely chose an area that I knew I did not hear it. And I've never heard it here. A villager has been accused of stealing shrubbery from a business at Southern Trace Plaza. A witness reported seeing a woman loading the shrubbery, 10 jasmine plants, 6 eleutherope plants, into her vehicle on August 19th at Metabolic Research Center, according to the arrest report. The witness said that the woman had been tearing them from the planted positions within the paved floral bed. The witness sensed something was odd and began taking pictures. The woman promptly drove away. The shrubbery is planted by Hardscaping of Central Florida. The incident was reported to Commercial Property Management in the villages. The photographs helped law enforcement identify the woman's blue Chevrolet Equinox. An interview was arranged with the vehicle's owner, 69-year-old Patricia Ann Kira of the village of Belvedere. The native of the Bronx, New York, participated in an interview on Monday at the Sumter County Sheriff's Office at Pinellas Plaza. I have no comment. Kira was arrested on charges of theft and criminal mischief. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $2,000 bond. Deputies responded to a McDonald's restaurant in the villages after a woman reported her man friend threatens to kill her. The woman sought refuge early Friday morning at the McDonald's at Buffalo Ridge Plaza after 33-year-old Joshua David Lister of Wildwood threatened her during a battle over her cell phone. When deputies made contact with the woman at McDonald's, she was emotionally in distress, afraid and was crying. She said Lister had not been himself the last 2 weeks as he has threatened to kill her. Drugs, maybe? Lister had taken away the woman's cell phone the previous night and spent the next several hours going through her phone. Early the next morning, the woman begged for the return of her phone, indicating she needed to go to work. She tried to take back the phone, but Lister grabbed it from her hand, causing some bruising on her hand. She got into her truck and tried to drive away, but Lister jumped onto the truck, holding onto the passenger side mirror. He attempted to break the truck's window, but fell off the vehicle. The truck's tire rolled over his arm. The woman's friend, who had her 7-month-old baby girl with her, witnessed the incident and shared her account with deputies. Deputies later located Lister at UF Health Leesburg Hospital and took him into custody. He was facing a charge of battery. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $2,000 bond. Lady, you better go stay somewhere else. A blood draw was taken from a Guatemalan driver suspected of drunk driving when he was being evaluated at UF Health, the village's hospital freestanding emergency room at Brownwood. Juan Dionico Romero Mendez, 22, of Summerfield, you'll let me know if I said that wrong, was driving a white Chrysler Sebring at 9:22 p.m. Monday on U.S. Highway 301 when the vehicle was observed slowing down and speeding up, according to the arrest report. A bilingual deputy was called on the scene. A traffic stop due to a language barrier. It appeared that the native from Guatemala had been drinking. It was determined he does not have a driver's license. Ramiro Mendez also fell over during field sobriety exercises. He was taken to the Brownwood ER for a medical evaluation, and while there, he agreed to do a blood draw. He also provided breath samples that registered 0.125 and 0.120 blood alcohol content. Interesting question. If you're drunk, you can't legally be held liable for any papers you sign, like to buy a house, because you're drunk, right? So if you're drunk and they ask you to take a blood draw and you say, okay, in court, legally, can that be used against you because you're drunk? Just a question. Romero Mendez was arrested on charges of driving under the influence and driving without a license. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on a $1,500 bond. Doesn't say anything about him being released. A church in the Villages announced that it will join hundreds of other churches around the world to host a prom night event created and sponsored by Tim Tebow to honor those with special needs. Night to Shine, which is sponsored by the Tim Tebow Foundation, will be hosted by the New Covenant United Methodist Church in 2024. Located at 3470 Woodridge Drive, New Covenant United Methodist Church is the first of the Villages to participate in the event, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary. Night to Shine was launched in 2014 to gather churches around the country willing to provide a prom night experience centered on God's love for people with special needs. Every guest at Night to Shine will have complimentary access to the event. Upon arrival, guests walk a red carpet, complete with friends, family, and paparazzi. Once inside, guests will receive a royal treatment with stations for hair, makeup, and shoe shining. All guests are given corsages and boutonnieres and will be able to participate in a karaoke room, a catered dinner, and dancing. Caregivers and parents will have access to the respite room, and prom favors will be given to each guest. The night is capped off with each guest being crowned king or queen of the prom. Night to Shine will take place on February 9th, 2024 at hundreds of locations around the world. If you are interested in volunteering, contact the church by phone at 352-750-4529 or visit the Night to Shine webpage. That's kind of a cool event. Takes me back. Do you remember your high school prom? I remember mine. We still got pictures of it. Oh, my Lord. What can I tell you? Sumter detectives allegedly found over 300 multimedia files depicting children pornography, including some of the children under 4 years old, on electric devices that were seized from a Village of Sanibel resident. On Thursday, Sumter County Sheriff's Office detectives received the results of a forensic analysis of several electronic devices belonging to 69-year-old Gary Paul Slasinski. Slasinski was arrested on March 24th at his home at 856 Abaco Path after detectives received a tip that someone living at the home was distributing child pornography, including an image of a child who appeared to be under the age of 10. At the time, Slasinski was transported to the Sumter County Jail, where he bonded out just over 12 hours after he arrived. On Thursday, Slasinski was arrested again on 30 counts of possession of child pornography. The charges are being reclassified as second-degree felonies and will include sexual battery on children. Slasinski was issued a $450,000 bond, $15,000 for each count, and was booked into the Sumter County Jail at 3:55 p.m. on Thursday. If you have any information about this investigation, contact the Sumter County Sheriff's Office at 352-793-2621. To remain anonymous, you can call Crime Line at 1-800-423-TIPS, 1-800-423-8477 in a retirement community. That's what really ticks me off. A critically acclaimed late-night television host will return to the Sharon L. Morris Performing Arts Center for 2 shows next month. Jay Leno will take the stage at the Sharon on October 20th for 2 shows at 4 and 7 p.m. Leno rocked to stardom as the host of The Tonight Show in 1992. He maintained that post for nearly 3 decades before moving on to other projects. That includes Jay Leno's Garage, which wrapped its 7-season run in 2022. That series still runs in syndication on CNBC with video clips of episodes published on YouTube every Monday. Leno's last visit to the Villages in 2019 to perform at the Sharon, which is located at 1051 Main Street in Spanish Springs Town Square. About an hour into Leno's show, a technical glitch made for a memorable moment with the audience. Tickets for the show starts at $120 or $100 for an obstructed view. Who the hell would pay $100 to sit behind a pole? Listen, I got nothing against Jay, but I just added, if I'm going to pay $100 for a ticket, then I'm going to pay an extra $20 to make sure I ain't got no pole in front of me. A thrift store that benefits combat veterans and their families has opened its second location near the Villages with a specialization in clothing and accessories. Restoring Hope Clothing Boutique celebrated its grand opening earlier this summer at 104 East Wonder Street in Wildwood, across the street from Wildwood City Hall. The boutique offers a large variety of clothing options for men and women, including dresses, suits, slacks, blouses, shirts, and shorts, among many other pieces. In addition to clothing, the store features a vast selection of shoes, purses, and accessories like jewelry and belts. All items are gently used and are marked at bargain prices according to the store. Restoring Hope Thrift Store is a 501 nonprofit organization that benefits local combat veterans and their families. The organization donates funds to veterans in need throughout Greater Central Florida, and all donations are tax deductible. For more information on the nonprofit, its thrift shop inventory, or its new clothing boutique, visit Restoring Hope Thrift Store online. Good luck to them. This is a big military population here in the villages, in case you don't know that. They also have a VA clinic in the northern part of it by Mulberry, I think. A company that replaced the village's transportation years ago has announced that it will stop its direct service between the villages and the Orlando International Airport. On Thursday, Workman Transportation announced that it will no longer provide express depot transfers to and from the Orlando International Airport. Instead, the company says that Groom Transportation will be the sole provider of the service. All existing reservations with Workman will be honored by Groom. Workman Transportation took over the direct routes from Lake Sumter Landing and Brownwood to the Orlando International Airport that were previously operated by the village's transportation. The shuttle ran 15 times per day to and from the airport. We are having to announce effective August 31st, 2023, Groom Transportation will be the sole provider of express depot services to the villages, continuing a long tradition of safe, reliable, and friendly service to its residents and visitors. Groom Transportation has been serving the villages since 2019. The organization covers 80-plus neighborhoods in and around the villages. I can remember back in the day when the developer owned the village's transportation, or I think he owned it, or somebody he knew owned it or something. If you guys ever drive around, you go like to say to Spanish Springs, and you see like it looks like a train depot with bleachers or wooden seating up there. It's closed now. That's where they picked you up. That was the only one there was. That's where they picked you up. Then they built Lake Sumter, and they built something similar to that down at Lake Sumter. You'll cross a bridge, and there's like a depot. It looks like a station depot right there with a lot of benches out front. That's the same theme that they had in Spanish Springs. That's where they picked you up. So it used to, they'd go to Spanish Springs, pick you up, drop you off, come down to Lake Sumter at that same area, and pick you up and drop other people off. And then they opened Brownwood, and that's when everything changed. And I don't know if they even pick anybody up at Spanish Springs or Lake Sumter anymore. Don't believe so, but don't quote me on that. I think now everybody is picked up in Brownwood, back behind the stores back there in the back where all the parking is. You'll see it back there. I think they pick you all up back there now, and you can park your cars there in the parking lot. It's okay, but I don't think it's near as nice. It's almost like they're using what they got, but they didn't build anything for it. A woman has been arrested in a 2022 hit-and-run crash that killed a man near UF Health, the village's hospital. Edward William Savak, 52 of Summerfield, was killed on August 1st when he was crossing U.S. Highway 27 and 441 and was hit by a car that fled the scene. Savak, who was remembered as a Christian, a carpenter, and the family comedian, was pronounced dead at the scene. His body was covered by a white sheet on the grim day of the investigation, which lasted several hours. This past week, 21-year-old Ashante Janaea Slater of Gulfport, Mississippi, was arrested on a warrant charging her with felony hit and run in connection with Savak's death. On the day of the crash, Slaughter had been staying at the Holiday Inn Express at the Villages. She had been at the wheel of a silver 2016 Buick Verano with Mississippi license plates when she hit Savak on U.S. Highway 27 441 about 20 feet north of Bella Cruz Drive. She later told Florida Highway Patrol that she was unaware that her vehicle struck a pedestrian. Instead of stopping, she went to the Walmart at Summerfield and picked up her boyfriend, who had been staying with her at the Holiday Inn Express. They drove back to the crash scene and saw a body on the ground, according to a charging document on file in Sumter County Court. When Slater returned to the scene 30 minutes after the accident, Florida Highway Patrol took a blood sample from the front of her bumper. It was sent in for testing to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. When results came back, a warrant was issued for her arrest. The boyfriend was interviewed by investigators, and he said that when they drove back to the accident, Slaughter knew it was a person. Savak, a native of New Jersey, left behind a daughter, grandson, 2 brothers, and his mother. In his youth, he built a church playground in pursuit of his Eagle Scout rank. Parents should never have to bury their child. Is the new Village's high school football stadium too loud for neighbors? The kickoff of the high school football season always brings plenty of excitement, but the start of the season at Middleton may be too much for some of the homeowners who bought before the school was built. Many neighbors have a review as a result of Friday night's football game at Middleton. The noise was totally unacceptable. Many of the villages south of State Road 44 have already endured the sound of blaring announcements from the public address system at the Coleman Correctional Center and blasting from a nearby quarry. But the sounds from traffic from the village's charter school and the new stadium may be too much. Of course, residents of the village of Belvedere, home of the original Buffalo Ridge campus, have woven that traffic, noise, and stadium lights into their lives. As longtime Community Development District 5 Supervisor Jerry Knoll, a resident of the village of Belvedere, is fond of saying, "That's life in Belvedere." But is the new stadium and the cheering and music too much down south? I ask you. Oh, God, this guy again. A 74-year-old has been arrested in another attack on a woman who refused to engage in sex with him. Harold Potter Donald Jr. of Lady Lake had been free on bond prior to his arrest this past week on charges of battery and violation of a no-contact order. Officers have been called to his home at 225 Skyline Drive after he allegedly pulled the hair of a woman he tried to force to the ground, according to the arrest report. Donald had questioned why a back door at the home was open. The woman said she hadn't been outside and had been inside all day. Apparently, enraged, Donald grabbed the victim by her hair and began to drag her to the ground. Donald let her go when her juvenile child entered the room and saw what was happening. She took her child and went to the police department and completed a sworn statement leading to Donald's second arrest. A judge has issued a no contact after a previous incident, which involved an armed standoff earlier this year when Donald attacked the same woman at his home and held a gun to her head. The Lake County Sheriff's Office negotiating team arrived on the scene, surrounded the residence, and made contact with Donald, who eventually surrendered. The woman told law enforcement that the Connecticut resident was angry due to her refusing to engage in sexual activities. He continued to be held without bond this weekend at Lake County Jail. I'd say keep him until his court date. That's the only way you're going to be able to protect this woman and her child. Junk cars have been removed from a dead villager's home, but $13,560 in fines still linger. The home, owned by Harriet Kohler Living Trust, is located at 1724 West Schultz Boulevard on the historic side of the villages. The fines will be up for review when the Village Center Community Development District Board of Supervisors meets at 3:30 p.m. Wednesday at Savannah Center. Last year, Community Standards received a complaint about the junk cars and weeds at the home. The daughter was living in the home. Both vehicles had expired registration stickers. The home was the subject of a deed compliance hearing last year before the VCDD board, and the supervisors ordered that $50 fines daily be imposed until the junk cars were removed. The property came into compliance this past May, but that time $13,600 in fines was racked up. Do you think these types of fines should be forgiven? There have been more than 1.7 million rounds of executive golf played so far this year in the villages. There were 1,762,322 rounds of executive golf played as of August the 28th in Florida's friendliest hometown. In addition, 2023 has been a lucky year for golfers with 1,798 holes in one recorded thus far this year at executive courses. There is a heck of a lot of golf played here. A teen from Guatemala was arrested near the entrance of Oxford Oaks. Suri Herrera Zacharias, 18 of Bellevue, was driving a white Hyundai Friday southbound on US 301 at Oxford Oaks Lane when she was pulled over by a Sumter County Sheriff's deputy. The deputy had run a query on her temporary license plate and discovered it had been assigned to a beige 1998 Hyundai. A search of her name and birth date revealed that she has never been issued a driver's license in the United States. The native of Guatemala was taken into custody on a charge of driving without a license and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. She was released after posting a $500 bond. Man, this immigration thing is getting to be ridiculous. A diminutive woman was arrested after allegedly using her feet to choke her fiance. Let me read that for you again. A diminutive woman was arrested after allegedly using her feet to choke her fiance. I'd like to buy tickets for that show. Officers were called to investigate a report of a fight at about 6:40 a.m. Thursday to the mobile gas station on U.S. Highway 27 and 441, according to the arrest report. The man told police that he had been driving a car when his fiancée, 20-year-old Emma Elizabeth Chase of Green Cove Springs, began using her feet to choke him. A passenger in the backseat heard the man cry out, "I can't breathe." The passenger said that Chase, who is 4 feet 11 inches tall and weighs 103 pounds, would not release her grip on the man's neck. Holy crap. She must be as strong as an ox. The report noted that Chase and the man have been engaged for more than a year. Chase was arrested on charges of domestic battery. She was booked at the Lake County Jail on a $1,000 bond. See some letters to the editor. We don't have any holes in one, I don't think, this week. I feel compelled to respond to a recent message which appeared in the Letters to the Editor column in thevillagesnews.com. Sarah McCormick of the village of Della Vista complained about overage children seeking shelter and subsistence here at the homes of their parents in what is ballyhooed as America's friendliest hometown. Ballyhooed. She also expressed her repugnance of boozing villagers who end up with their unattractive mugshots, courtesy of the local jail, in headlines of the same internet publication. But it begs the question, which is somewhat like a chicken or the egg riddle, who is to blame here? The poorly behaving children or their role model parents? Sent in by Chris Alden, Snowbird. Very good, Chris. You get it. I don't think the mommies and daddies here do, or ever will. To the editor, with all due respect, it might be time for those who don't like the noise to remove their hearing aids or move to an independent living community where it is typically very quiet. That's sent in by Lois Goldberg, Southwood Villas. Some of these people that live here are just downright mean. Okay, well, I think that's going to be the news for this week. So all I got to say is thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. And I hope you have fun with it like I do. Most of this news is serious, but I try to have a little bit of fun with it. I don't try to be real serious about it. I kind of give you both sides of a story of what goes on here. Is it the Florida's friendliest hometown? Sometimes not. That's just the way it is. So that being said,
don't leave your keys in the golf cart.